All right, welcome to Infinite Slop. Today we're talking about Goal 3. A very special movie.
Very special.
Goal 1 and 2, completely normal, generic, kind of just mediocre.
They're fine. Yeah, mediocre is the perfect way I would describe it. Like, if you just want to put something on and just sort of kind of like something a bit like numbing and anesthetizing, and you just want to put something on and like just not really think, like drool out the side of your mouth a little bit for like an hour and a half, like it's a great film for that.
If you want a film that sort of, maybe harkens back to simpler times.
Yeah, yeah.
Goal 1, Goal 2, they're fine. Goal 1 is okay. Goal 2 is kind of bad. It's a classic kind of sequel being a bit worse than the original. Goal 3...
which honestly is reportedly, I can't necessarily verify this, but I've seen this. It's on the IMDb page.
The estimated budget?
Yeah, the estimated budget is $10 million.
Yeah. So the box office takings of Goal 3 were $7,000 approximately. Basically, the quality, it's like Goal 1, okay, maybe a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. Goal 2, maybe a 4 or a 5 out of 10 movie. Goal 3, it's like
criminal.
A 1 out of 10. It's like a criminally bad film.
I was thinking of this earlier. I think Goal 3 manages to like spit in the face and like piss on the grave of Goal 1 and Goal 2. And that's really not saying, that's not really saying much. Like it's not like Goal 1 and Goal 2 was like such like almost like a sort of Roman level like legacy.
It wasn't The Godfather.
Like, no, but it still manages to.
It makes you feel like the first one was The Godfather.
I think when you like look at the reviews for Goal 3, a lot of people, you see a lot of kind of like quite fervent fans of Goal 1 and Goal 2 really talking about how much they love the first two films.
I think
and I feel like they've been kind of like, they've been almost sort of, they've been like kind of like neuro-linguistic programmed into like thinking that those two films are right masterpieces.
They've been negged by Goal 3.
They have. They really have.
They've been negged by Goal 3. Goal 1 didn't do this. Goal 1 didn't make me feel this way. Goal 1 wasn't like a bizarrely crass racist comedy. Goal 1 and 2, normal films, and the main character is Santiago Munez, and he's a player who, I mean, it doesn't make a great deal of sense.
No.
But he becomes a famous player. He plays for Newcastle, and then he joins Real Madrid at the end of the film.
Very quickly becomes a very famous footballer.
Yeah.
In the space of like a year.
Without seeming to like practice much or train much, it seems like, you know, they make it seem quite easy in Goal 1 and 2, but Goal 3 takes it to another level, so we'll get onto that. So the movie starts with this, got this kind of Biffy Clyro montage, and you're seeing what it turns out is just footage from the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
Well, this is a recurrent theme throughout this film.
I would say more, this is the meat of the film. Is the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
And suddenly, like, the movie goes from, like, you know, it doesn't look that terrible. Like, it's like, you know, again, I mean, it's got a $10 million budget. You know, you'd expect it to at least look somewhat passable. But then suddenly, like, it will...
Think of what you could do with $10 million. Like, just in the world.
Like, it suddenly will, like, cut, and there'll be shots from the World Cup. And like the camera quality is completely different. Everything suddenly is like really crisp and clear.
Everyone looks like a real person. Suddenly you're like, oh yeah, there's David Beckham and Ashley Cole. Yeah, and here's like Victoria Beckham in the stands, and then it cuts to like Charlie Braithwaite, and he's like green screened in. But to begin with, there's this horrid montage of the 2006 FIFA World Cup, and then confoundingly, because the thing is, I think the reason you can't replicate the first viewing is you can't replicate the confoundment you experience. And it must be said that as a standalone film, this is terrible, and it works as a standalone film, but you really have to watch the first two to see how bad this film is, because that's why we couldn't recreate the first experience. When we first saw Goal 3, we watched it hot off watching Goal 1 and 2. We watched them all in a couple of days. And when we got to Goal 3, we genuinely couldn't understand what was going on.
This honestly isn't like, I haven't dramatized this in any way, shape or form. My mouth was literally agape. Like, I remember literally watching the film like, I felt like when people were watching like 2001 Space Odyssey for the first time, like that's how I felt. Like I was just literally in shock and awe. It was amazement, but like nothing positive about any of those.
Also, I was confused to a point where, well, there's a bit. So there was this montage, right? And then they do this bit where they then cut away, and you see, no, that wasn't the real World Cup. That was just an ad,
a promo shot. Yeah,
the characters in the film were making. And then you're introduced immediately to two completely new characters who haven't been in any of the Goal films. The first two end very abruptly on kind of cliffhangers.
It literally says to be continued.
To be continued.
At the end of 1 and 2,
and there's these characters that are continued for all of it.
Yes.
And then immediately after this montage, you're introduced to Charlie Braithwaite and Liam, who we'll come on to. But the part that's really confusing, right? So first we get these two new characters and we see this whole thing going on.
Just very suddenly like ham-fisted. Then suddenly these two characters.
We also see Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard and Theo Walcott, except they don't really look like Wayne Rooney, Frank Lampard and Theo Walcott.
And you only really see the back of them.
You only see the backs of their heads, and they didn't even try to get the back of their heads right.
He's like balding and has got big ears. Yeah, that's Wayne Rooney, of course.
I mean, Wayne Rooney is quite distinctive. They could have chosen a less distinctive player.
The Lampard, I think, was the worst. Like Lampard, they've just
a guy.
They've just gotten like some sort of Italian waiter.
It was like if you were like racist, if you were being like, you know, when they're sort of like, oh, that's a black guy, they're the same.
Yeah.
If you were being like that about white people, you'd be like, that's a white guy who's not blonde. That's Frank Lampard. It's the same. It's like saying every Chinese guy is Jackie Chan. It's that level of like, sort of like, there you go, there's Frank Lampard for you. And so it was so bad, and this is what I mean about the confusion, that I said to you, I was like, oh, so those are meant to be the fake players, right? They're not meant to, we're not meant to think that that's Frank Lampard.
But no.
And then, because we hadn't yet seen how bad the film was, and as
they do
it went
say,
on,
like, they kind of acknowledge them. They're like, yeah, see you later, lads.
See you later, lads. Yeah, like, oh yeah, you're going to see Frank Lampard.
And I remember
later.
at that point we were like, oh, it's not that's meant to be them. It's really telling about the quality of this film that at multiple times during the start, like as it kind of carried on, like it sort of browbeats you and you realize that no, none of it is a joke. But like early on, I remember we would say to each other multiple times, like, is this a joke?
Well, there's another bit later on, which we'll get to, where you had a similar confusion where you were like, this can't be the film. Basically, that's what happens is your brain starts, it's like when someone does something really evil, you know?
Yeah.
And people always go, no, the person must have upset him if he killed this man. Because
like you can't
you're
accept
trying
it.
to rationalize
I felt
like
the Aztecs when they saw like Cortez in the horizon, and they literally couldn't comprehend, understand this image that they were seeing in front of them. Like that's how I felt like during the first like 15 to 20 minutes of Goal 3. Like I just couldn't. My brain was coming up with like every possible scenario or like conclusion or like rationale, like how this wasn't the actual film. Like I genuinely thought at one moment during the film that it was like really smart and like almost meta humor, like it was like really satirical, like a really like dripping in sarcasm but like razor sharp like critique of like society. And no, it's just Goal 3.
And then we're introduced to the two new characters. So the two new characters,
brand new, never mentioned
previously in any of the other films. The other characters, of course, are gone. So we get Charlie Braithwaite, who is played by Leo Gregory, and we get Liam Adams, who is played by JJ Failed. Now, the strange thing about this is that Charlie Braithwaite, who's played by Leo Gregory, is meant to be a kind of sexy, fun, cool playboy who's a notorious ladies' man who's always getting these easy opportunities in life because the ladies love him so much.
I'm going to have both the pictures here, and I want you to like look inside yourself and just answer this question. Out of these two men right here, who do you think is sort of the lady killer?
Yeah.
Who do you think is the Casanova?
I must say, I like Leo Gregory. He was the best one in Green Street, which isn't saying that much, but
he's also the best one in Goal 3, which also isn't saying that much.
Probably does the best he can in Goal 3. He's not who you would typically cast as a ladies' man. JJ Failed, on the other hand, he's tall, he's handsome, he's the kind of guy women really
there's
like.
compilation videos.
There's a lot. When I looked up clips from Goal 3, to find clips of scenes of Liam Adams' character, they were all uploaded to like JJ Failed fan channels that were mostly seemingly sort of run by like ladies who are just looking for clips.
There's not any Leo Gregory fan channels.
Not as far as we know, we haven't checked.
Maybe, but there's not any like obviously accessible and available
I don't imagine,
ones.
I think there might be fan channels, but the JJ Failed one, it's more like, here he is in a period drama, he's so dashing.
He's like Mr. Darcy.
And I don't imagine that Leo Gregory has the same following.
Yeah.
So that was strange. And then JJ Field's character, Liam Adams, on the other hand, is meant to be, he's a bit of a mess. He's an alcoholic. Yeah. He keeps fucking up his life and making bad decisions. And that is the kind of character that Leo Gregory would typically play.
That's what he was like in Green Street.
He's a shithead, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and So yeah, they immediately, it's like in The Room when they get the Lisa and Michelle characters, clearly the casting like completely the wrong way around. And you think, if you just swapped those two characters, the whole film would make more sense and be completely different. What's happened to Santiago at this stage?
Well, kind of what we touched upon before, like the film, like Gold 2 literally ends on a to be continued, and it ends on quite like a deliberate to be continued. Basically, Santi's like girlfriend is pregnant, and like his girlfriend is played by Anna Friel, and
who we've become big fans of.
We have become big fans of because Anna Friel is. I almost kind of want to have a little segment on like just Anna Friel's like a really oddly talented actress, and like she does all these roles that like have she has to really like learn different accents, and she does them really well, and she can also sing, and she's really
like
really
a beautiful singer and really talented and amazing,
and like really beautiful.
Just needs to fire her agent.
And she only the reason we really like Anna Friel is because she only does like the shittest movies,
and it says a lot that Anna Friel wouldn't do Goal Free, because Anna Friel will do most
she
films.
She did Irish Jam.
Which, if you've seen Irish Jam, the fact that she would do that... Just go look at the
trailer for Irish Jam.
We'll be reviewing that.
Yeah, we will be reviewing that, and that one is particularly
atrocious. But the fact that she did Irish Jam but wouldn't do Goal Free, I think speaks volumes
She's
about
done a lot
Goal
of films where it is near enough impossible to find them online. They are so bad. Like they're it's just so she's in Goal 2, and the ending of it's like, oh no, she's in Goal 1 and Goal 2, I believe.
Yeah, she's in the first.
Yeah, she's in the first two. And they're really like, so you imagine that's two films of like where they're building up this like relationship plot, and then in the second one, like Santi has an affair, and then she's pregnant and he doesn't know, and she's in England, and like it ends like she stands up and you can see she's got like a baby bump, and it's like, whoa, they're like splitting up, but she's got a baby on the way. Like, can they repair their relationship? Is Santi gonna be a runaway like dad, like his mum run away from him? And then it's just a sentence of dialogue dedicated to the previous two films.
Who was she?
Just someone in the past.
And there's not a single mention of
like
anything that has been built up over the last two films, anything that has happened. It's honestly, it's like they were all a dream.
Yeah, he becomes like, they cram him in where it's like pointless. Like for example, in one scene, two characters are on a date. We'll get onto them, but Santi it's almost like he's like their translator, even though they're all speaking English.
Yeah.
And they've got Santi explaining what people are saying, because it's like, we wrote a scene that really is just about Leo Gregory's character and this woman, but we want to cram Santi in there.
We need him to have like his contractual screen time.
Even though English is like not his first language, he's going to translate these like conversations in English for other people, which don't make any sense. And I feel he becomes like, the magical Negro sort of archetype in films that's very sort of, debated. I feel he becomes a kind of magical Latino in this film.
The magical sort of Latino where, like, footballer.
The magical Latino footballer. It's like the new Manic Pixie Dream Girl, magical Negro. He doesn't really matter.
Well, he breaks his leg like in the first like quarter of the movie, and it's like, oh no, now Santi can't play for the Mexico in the World Cup. So it basically means that they sort of like almost, they in effect write him out of the movie.
If they wanted to do that, all they needed to do was just write a fully new movie, which happens. Sometimes a sequel can just be a fully different...
Like Green Street Hooligans.
Or Green Street... Well, that still had a character from the first...
It had one character.
More like Tokyo Drift. Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Fully new plot. People liked it. It was never... They didn't try and go, oh, really quick, Vin Diesel died because he was... They don't like do this weird contrived shit. They just start a new thing. So then the film, basically, very quickly, we find out that Charlie Braithwaite, Leo Gregory's character, has some sort of film deal, which again, footballers don't really tend to get film deals, and if they do, they're playing themselves, like in Goal 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And he gets a film deal, and it's in Romania.
So suddenly within like, honestly, about
2 minutes?
Probably about
5.
2 to 5 minutes of like screen time, it's like, oh, these, Santi plus these two other characters that you know nothing about, they're going to go to Romania for this one character that you know nothing about. He's doing a movie role. And this is the point where the film got like almost mildly psychedelic for me. And this is where I thought it was like like a really like cutting, like sort of satirical, biting statement on society, but I was completely wrong. It was just utter nonsense and drivel.
I hadn't paid that much attention to where they were, and then I was like, I thought they were on a road trip because they're in a taxi with a guy who doesn't sound Romanian. To me, he sounded kind of Jewish.
My sister's television.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is there like a kind of like Israeli Jewish? And I wasn't really paying that much attention. I was kind of like, it just kind of passed me by. And
it sort of washes over you, this whole
And then this
whole
segment
scene.
is just so weird. And then a woman comes by on a horse and carriage, and it's meant to be like a gypsy, and they have some kind of like
as if they
argument out of the
yeah.
car, and you're sort of like, what's
like a really stereotypical, like as if you were sort of doing almost like a racist caricature,
like Borat, basically. It's
it really
Borat,
is.
It's at least a bit like tongue in cheek, or he can kind of explain why he did it. But in this,
whereas
it's
just
like
sort of like just like tasteless.
It's just completely crass and tasteless. And immediately you're so confused. You're like, is this a goal movie? Why is this happening? I feel like I'm watching like a terrible comedy.
Yeah.
And then they get to the set, and there's some dwarves on set, which are just for no reason. They
have probably about 30 seconds of screen time total throughout this whole segment, and it's just feel like they just wanted to. This is probably where part of the $10 million budget went on. I tell you what, a lot of the $10 million budget went on is throughout this whole film, and I can't stress enough, it is not like this in the first two films. Throughout the whole film, there are these ham-fisted, just in your face, shoved in, a lot of the time, like extras with no dialogue of like really tarted up like bimbos for no reason in the film, like absolutely no reason whatsoever, dressed extremely scantily.
And this goes from extras, as you said, all the way up to main characters.
Oh yeah.
Everything in between. If you removed, I would say, all the bimbos from the film, and you removed all the 2006 FIFA World Cup footage, you would have a short film.
You'd have a
20, 30 minute short.
Film.
Yeah. Most of these women, to put it, bluntly, they look like they're from a different kind of film.
Yeah.
They don't really look like movie actors. They look like they act in other films.
Yeah.
And you start to wonder very early on, what would be the incentive to put all of these women in this film? And you get a feeling that they're not really there for their acting, and they might just be there to
particularly in the
look
Romania
at.
section.
Particularly the Romania section. It felt like they were like, let's do a scene in Romania. Because if we do a scene in Romania, we can get lots of women, and we might not have to pay them that much.
There is a section where, so basically, Charlie, he gets cast in this like I guess Transylvania like vampire horror flick, and it's like a B movie, and he's there, and there are all these like virgin vampires.
Something very important happens before we get to the virgin vampires and all the women with their tits out. Is he goes to his trailer, and he gets into his trailer, and he's sat there reading a magazine, and a beautiful woman walks in. A genuinely
she looks like
beautiful
Keira
woman.
Knightley.
She looks like a more beautiful version. She's like a model, and she walks in, and she sees Leo Gregory, Bother from Green Street. She sees Leo Gregory, and immediately her heart stops. She can't believe how incredibly attractive and heart-stopping this man is. This man played by Leo Gregory, and she just can't. And she freezes. And then they have this moment, like, love at first sight. They fall in love.
Like love and lust at first sight.
Love and lust, and she just can't. She's just absolutely in awe of him. And then the director of the film comes in, who we can't figure out if he's meant to be Romanian or Spanish.
Because he says a lot of Spanish stuff throughout this segment of the film that he's in.
Spanish stuff. I don't know if he thought that we just wouldn't notice the difference between Romanian and Spanish.
Hey, Charlie. ¿Qué pasa, amigo? Hola. So, please.
But he really seems Jewish. Like, he really, really seems like a sort of Israeli film director, like a B-movie director from Israel. And that's really confusing.
It's like a conspiracy. It's very strange.
And he's even wearing what looks to me like the Israeli colours. He has like Israeli flags on a scarf. And then he goes and Charlie Braithwaite, Leo Gregory, has to go and get into his costume.
And he's dressed up in like a leather BDSM outfit. It's very strange. He gets into a coffin, and then he's surrounded by just these like, they essentially look like Romanian prostitutes in like vampire outfits. There's a really funny review from a guy who's given it a 1 star, and he's clearly a Romanian guy, and he's like, what the fuck, man, this is like a really racist film. Romania isn't just full of like gypsies and prostitutes. And it really is. Like, I can imagine if it doesn't take much to offend us. Like, we're not like soft people, but I can imagine.
You mean it takes a lot to offend us?
Yeah, sorry.
It doesn't take much to offend us. Don't worry, guys. Yeah. Leave your comments. We're very easily hurt. No, we're not.
Yeah, we're not. But like, even for me, I was like, when I was reading that guy's review, I was like, fair enough, man. Like, the only insight you get to like Romania is like basically, just a bunch of gypsies and like literally like Romanian prostitutes. And yes, and then there's like a really ghoulish, horrible like dance segment with these like vampire prosies, and they're like really scantily dressed and like in like leather, and it looks like it honestly looks like something you would see in like Andrew Tate's basement. It goes on for way too long, and that was the point again. My mouth was agape. That was the point where I was like, "That's."
And also before then, I mean, to be fair, I would say probably if you pinpoint the moment that more than anything in the film immediately just discombobulates you. It's like imagine, you're at home one day and like your mother suddenly speaks to you in Chinese, you're just like, what? And you can't even process it. Is the moment when Leo Gregory comes out in the BDSM gear and he has eyeliner on.
Yeah.
And your head is spinning at this stage.
Ghastly.
So he comes out, and then, as Tara said, they do this scene and they're doing all this, it's like this big...
And the director's like, virgins, remember your lust.
Yeah, and he's the director guy, he's really trying, the actor who plays him, and they're doing all this dancing around, and they're going to like, he's in a coffin, he's got like eyeliner and stuff, and he's in this BDSM gear, and it's very like, it's very upsetting to see him dressed like that.
Guys,
it's very
like goal 1 and goal 2, it's literally like Santi is like a up and coming football player, and it's like, he's trying to make his way, and he's got like an agent, and there's like a lot of like football playing and a lot of football drama, and and it's tasteful. Football films,
they're not the best films ever, but they're tasteful. Then you see him in this BDSM gear, and you're like, oh. And he just looks, to be honest, like it's a horrible thing to look at. Then Liam Adams gets a call which interrupts the scene to say that they're going to be in the World Cup squad. And then they're all celebrating, they're out, and they go out, drinking, and they're in a taxi on the way home. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, huge car crash, which feels like metaphorical. It's almost like this is the film you've seen so far. It's been a car crash. Charlie Braithwaite is... unconscious, and as he wakes up, he sees Liam Adams standing over him, and it's very menacing. It's very oddly menacing. Yeah. It's like the way you'd see someone standing over you when they're about to like torture you. You like woken up. It's
quite an evil shot.
It's very evil. He's all groggy, and Liam's there like, Charlie, wake up. And Charlie's like, oh,
my head hurts like fire. There's a lot of like to replace swears in this film. There's a lot of like, get that flaming thing off. His head hurts like fire.
Just like, why are we being uptight about this film of all films? The film's like filled with like prostitutes and porn actors. And then he has to check. He looks and he lifts up his blanket to see if his penis is still there.
Yeah.
And then Liam goes, don't worry, you're still intact. And it's like, that doesn't concern you that he knows that you're still intact. He's standing over you when you wake up unconscious, and he's like,
odd
don't
phraseology
worry,
anyway.
You're still intact.
It's odd to talk about a man's penis being like intact or not.
Yeah, and it's odd to have checked. He doesn't go like, the doctor would have told me if you'd lost your penis. He's just like
giving you a good scoop and sweep.
The film goes along, and now Charlie Braithwaite is dating Katya, the beautiful woman, and they're like madly in love with each other. And she keeps talking about how nice he looks. Like they go out to dinner, and she's like, "You look so nice, Charlie." And it's like, yeah, I guess Charlie looks all right. and then there's various sort of off-color jokes, like more of them. Like there's a bit where he's getting a massage from basically Liam is getting a massage from another one of these women.
Oh, literally looks like a porn actress.
Looks like a woman you get a massage from,
She's got her name is Aphrodite, and she's got a big like name tag there, and her like masseuse outfit is like basically fully unbuttoned.
And they've all got like huge fake tits. And then Charlie is getting a massage from just an enormously obese woman who's not attractive, and she's like enormously obese. And Katya phones him, and she's like, "How are you doing, Charlie? You okay?" And he's like, in shot of this woman, he's like, "Yeah, apart from getting a massage from Shrek." And it's like, oh, that's a nice way to talk about someone who can hear you.
Yeah.
And Katya's like, hee, Charlie's so nice.
A little bit like, also like people in glass houses mayhaps shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah, which people might say about this podcast.
Yeah.
But that's all.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's life. Yeah, and what's funny about this though is one of the reasons Katya likes Charlie is because it's like, oh, he's so nice. He's such a nice guy. Like earlier in the film, she sees him playing football in Romania with, obviously they couldn't be Romanian children. They had to be just like gypsy children.
Yeah.
And he's playing football with them. And this is also, he's the only person in the Goal trilogy, only actor who seemingly has like any real footballing ability.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one where you actually see him playing football.
Like keepy ups.
And he's doing keepy ups. And they're quite basic keepy ups, but he's kicking it up, he's balancing on the back of his
Everyone's
neck.
like,
He's doing a couple of
whoa!
headers. And like probably they would have been better off just doing what they did in the other ones, get a stunt double and edit it in. But they were like, no, Leo can play. Let's let him play. And they get Leo to like play a bit. And she sees him playing with these like gypsy kids, and she drives past in like a limo or something.
All like dreamy, and she's like,
oh, he's so nice. And then later on, he's like, just getting a massage from Shrek. Yeah. So we've got all these women who are like, as we've described, kind of questionable credentials.
The way I describe them is women of loose morals who look like they would do anything to star in a film.
Yeah.
A woman who looks like even if she didn't have any dialogue, she would be really keen to do anything to make sure she was in a film.
Yeah, and if you were a director, you'd be like, honey, when you make a film, aren't you supposed to like get loads of blowjobs and that? I've heard that like in the film industry, it's all sucky fucky. And in the first two movies, I had a shit time. I was like working the whole time. Like, I want this to be fun, you know? How can I make sure I get loads of blowjobs?
Yeah.
Which is like, that's how it feels when you watch a film. And that ties into, there's this one woman in it who appears, and you know, she's quite attractive, and she comes along, and the agent character is chatting to her. And it turns out that woman is the woman from the indie film 9 Songs that was controversial because it was one of the first films to feature real unsimulated sex scenes. And this woman, I believe, was the girlfriend of the director of 9 Songs, and she famously gave him a blowjob in the film, which perhaps she thought was a daring career choice, but it
clearly hasn't paid off, has it?
led to being in Goal 3.
Has led to having a bit part where she has about 3 lines of dialogue in Goal 3 straight to DVD.
And you also wonder if they went, oh, hang about, she's giving out blowjobs on camera. Imagine what she'll do off camera.
Yeah.
Let's get her in a film.
Yeah.
So yeah, that woman is in it, which is an interesting crossover that I didn't really expect. And then, well, we have another subplot in the film, Tara. So who are these other characters?
Yeah, we have quite a lot of subplots in this film. So we haven't So basically, Adams, he has a daughter he didn't know about, a little like baby girl, and there's the mother of his child, June, and the way she delivers lines is honestly like, you know how Arnold Schwarzenegger, like how he had to
in Hercules in New York.
how he recited the lines almost like learning them phonetically.
Yeah.
They would say the line to him, and then they would have to like record it, and they would have to record. He says the line, they cut, then they tell him the next line.
He memorized the sounds. He'd be like, but these men are not throwing it far enough, and then they say it. And
so take that and then sort of put it into the vessel of like a sort of tarted up woman, and that's honestly how she delivers these lines.
Promise myself that if I ever had a child, they would have a real full-time father or none at all.
She's introduced into this film that the agent, again this football agent, he like happens to bump into her in this like corporate office building, and she's just going to go collect her baby daughter in what looks like honestly like the London Gherkin building. And there's no explanation as to why the agent was in this building.
They're walking around a hallway and you're like, right, they're in an office.
Yeah.
He's bumped into this woman. Oh, okay, this woman coincidentally is Liam's ex who had a daughter with Liam. And she's coincidentally bumped into the agent, I don't know where.
No context.
And then she goes into a room and there's all these babies playing.
And it's like clearly like an office
play
room.
Center
like it's got the the ghastly overhead lighting, and it's
like, oh yeah, she does HR at the playground office.
And they keep talking about like Juno's such a good job.
Yeah.
And she's in like
where was she?
It looks like she hasn't chased out Adams for any child support, and she's in like this like multi-million-dollar house. Again, no explanation to like what this job is or why. It's like honestly they're acting like she's like a neurosurgeon for the elites or something.
Yeah, she didn't need a taste of the Real Madrid money or anything. She just was happy doing this weird job in like a creche that her daughter also goes to or something.
Like a corporate creche.
A creche at like McDonald's HQ. It's impossibly weird. First scene where she meets the agent, it feels like a dream. Like it's just like, what is this made up place that would never exist in real life? Why did they bump into each other? Why is there no explanation for it? Why are they both talking like that? And it is seriously weird the way she's introduced. And then you find out that Liam Adams has a daughter with this woman and he doesn't even know. And
she's like kept the daughter away from him because like Liam Adams has like a drinking problem.
Although that's not the subplot I was referring to.
Oh, what? What was the other subplot? Oh, well, God, this subplot.
Who are the other characters we have in this film that we're just... There are, I think one or two of them are in Goal 1 and 2 in a slightly confusing arrangement. Like they work as mechanics and one of them's a cabbie.
Yeah, it's...
No, two of them are in Goal 1 and 2 and they're sort of... Even in Goal 1 and 2, it's a bit confusing, like why these guys are there, but they're meant to represent like the fans, you know, the Newcastle fans, and also kind of in this film England fans because it's about international football.
Yeah.
First of all, one of them gives Liam Adams a lift in a taxi, and Liam Adams goes to pay, and the guy says to him, "No, can't take any money off your pal." And Liam Adams, being obviously like a millionaire, immediately accepts this from a cabbie. He doesn't go, "No, mate, let me pay you." He goes, "Okay." And then he says, "I'll tell you what, if we get to the quarterfinals, I'll give you tickets. Just call my agent." And the guy's like, "Oh, amazing, pal." And it's like, what? You're going to call... You can just call my agent. Like,
yeah, of course he has the agent's number.
This cabbie has your agent's number and the agent's definitely going to believe him. "Oh, Liam said he'd give me free tickets." And the agent's like, "Right, bye."
And seeing this scene, you'd probably think to yourself, like, and that's what we did during the film, like, okay, this is a little bit about character, whatever. But then again, I think... Throughout Goal 3, there's a very consistent sort of vibe and message you can pick up on, which was like how we've spent $10 million on basically like hookers to star in our film. How else can we pad the movie out?
Well, I must say, all of the accusations, they're not accusations, all of this that we're saying about the makers of the film and the process of making it, it's all supposition on our part. It's all, we're just assuming this. We should clarify, we don't know if they hired any hookers or spent any of the money on anything else. They might be model professionals who just wanted to make a film with babes in it. But...
Although what I will say is dig out that comment on Reddit from, it's quite easy to find, from a guy who allegedly says he worked on Goal 2. Yeah. And there's quite a lot of juicy goss in there. It's quite a lot of juicy goss.
That might explain why Anna Friel wasn't in Goal 3.
Well, actually, he does go into quite a lot of detail, apparently, about why Anna was so fed up and refused to work on the third film.
Yeah. Because she'll, as we see in
other films... But it's sharp past our lips, these accusations.
Anna Friel will tolerate a lot, but there's certain things, I think, that are, you know... beneath her, but perhaps not beneath someone who might give an unsimulated blowjob in a movie. So there's this subplot of these Geordie like cabbies and mechanics.
Yeah.
And they basically, they're going on a tour to the World Cup, and for some reason, it's just nonsensical. There's like three of them. There are three old guys and one young guy. And they go to like stop off at a pub to watch the match. I don't know like why they're at a pub if they've gone on tour to go to see the matches. They're at a pub watching the match, and immediately there's these Jamaican guys smoking a spliff, and one of the Geordie guys goes and smokes a spliff with the Jamaicans, and he gets too stoned. They're like, "Let's cram this joke in."
Yeah.
He smokes a spliff. And then these like Swedish babes come in, and the Swedish babes are all over these like grotesque Geordie guys.
Yeah.
And they really want to like touch them and taking their tops off in front of them, and they're like dancing for them. And one of the Geordie guys sleeps with one of these Swedish, you see the caravan like rocking. He's had sex with these like beautiful Swedish women, which is really odd. Meanwhile, as well as the football, Charlie and Liam are out having their own football. Santi's still just this side character who pops up just to like make suggestions and say things.
He's like a little like ghost of Christmas past kind of thing.
Literally,
like,
he's
like
a
the
reminder.
Ghost of Goal, not even the ghost of Goal 1 or 2, because there's one tiny fraction of dialogue that is devoted to the legacy of Goal 1 and Goal 2. But he's more just sort of there as kind of like a sort of a lingering fart,
like a reference, a vague reference.
Yeah.
And then, there's a lot of horrible musical choices. Some really bad music in the film. The worst one is during a sex scene. So Charlie goes home with Katya and they're going to have sex. And then Liam goes home with some random woman at the bar. And I don't remember exactly the tune of this song, but I've written down the lyrics. I remember it just goes, too hard for you, too hard for me, too hard for you, too hard for me, too hard for you. And it's one of the worst songs I've ever heard. Definitely one of the worst songs I've ever heard. Yeah, I mean, this sex scene is really bad. And it's got this song playing. Liam, I believe at this stage he is in a hotel room that has what looks like a kind of butt plug lamp, like a kind of dildo lamp that's in quite a few shots of the film. Would you think you'd just go, should we get rid of this lamp, guys? It kind of looks a lot
like a butt plug.
Looks like a butt plug. I think we could probably
looks like anal beads.
Go to IKEA and get a new lamp for like €7 because this one does. It just looks like a butt plug basically. And then after this like wild night, after a couple of days of knowing each other, maybe a couple of weeks at most. Charlie proposes to Katya.
We've only known each other a few weeks.
Well then, this is going to shock you.
Yeah.
And everyone's telling Liam about his drinking. No one is saying to Charlie at any point, like, you've just met this woman.
Are you on like a manic one?
Are you on a mad one? I guess they're like,
are you feeling okay after the car crash? And, perhaps maybe people should have asked this. We'll get into this in a minute. But maybe that's all kind of like pre-context. Maybe it's all meant to be like, oh, he's been like reckless. I don't think it's smart enough for that though.
No, it's definitely not that.
But they could like, if we sort of like pinned the director up and we sort of like gave him like a sort of interrogation, he could be like, oh, well, Charlie's making these sort of like rash and kind of nonsensical because he's had a head injury.
Yeah, then Liam and Charlie are kind of always together and they're never around any other England players other than the fake Rooney, Lampard. And I think early on they were like, let's not do that. We'll keep that footage in because we can't be fucked to film anything else and we haven't got the budget left. But let's not get Wayne Rooney and Frank Lampard in again because that's just weird. So whenever they do like an England press conference, for some reason it's just Liam Adams and Charlie Braithwaite. They never hang out with like David Beckham or anyone. They're never there. Yeah, there's an England match and Charlie Braithwaite plays in it, and basically he's had some head injury early on in the film, but he's recovered, and then he jumps for a header.
My head feels like fire. It's flaming hurting.
Oh, and we haven't mentioned the worst thing probably about the film, the most objectively terrible thing that anyone could agree is bad, is that in the first two films, they put quite a lot of effort to make these football scenes, which is a really hard thing to do. You have to go to the stadium. In this one, obviously, they didn't have the budget or want to do that, or the access. So I think they burned through that with Goal 2,
Yeah, they green screened in.
So they green screened them onto the 2006 FIFA World Cup footage.
It looks like something out of like FIFA on PS2 or even maybe like PS1.
It reminds me of The Room, the rooftop scenes in The Room. It probably worse, but it's like that worse. Kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's
it'll be like Beck's playing and then like suddenly you just see like Braithwaite like jogging across the screen.
And there's
there's no perspective or like difference. There's no kind of like there's no like depth perception.
There's no depth perception. He's like running and it's kind of like, when you see it when they're like
it's kind of like blurry around where he's running.
It's all blurry, horrific green screen, absolutely horrific. And so there's been a lot of these green screen sequences and you never see them actually do a whole movement with the ball. You just see like, and like he headers it and stuff. And then he jumps for a header and someone, I think, elbows him in the head and then he falls over
his head.
And he smashes his head into the rock hard grass.
Yeah.
And immediately the last 3 days of his life begin flashing before his eyes. And he's like, oh, I met Katya. Oh, I had a car accident. Oh, fucking hell. And he's like remembering all this stuff and everything goes all black and it's all weird. And everyone's like,
It's got like weird editing, like it's like from like a Placebo music video or something.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Like all flashing colours and stuff, and he's like he's roaring like a lion as well. Do you remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, and then the assistant coach checks on him, and the assistant coach goes over. Charlie goes to like walk off and recover, and then the assistant coach Liam is like, "Is Charlie okay?" And he's like, well, he doesn't know where he is or who he is, but I think he's all right. I don't think he's okay.
Yeah, I think he needs to get into an ambulance right now.
Yeah, I think he's not doing well, and of course, this turns out to be definitely like, they should have checked on him. Charlie goes off, he goes to the toilet, and Liam goes up to the toilet, and this is maybe one of the best moments in the film. I think one of our favourite moments. What happens?
I described this as like Mickey Mouse pantomime music.
Charlie.
There's nothing like this in the whole film. There's just like sort of like dodgy, like sort of tacky music choices.
And you know what happens. You know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't expect this sound choice, but you do know.
Interesting directorial choice.
Obviously, Charlie's gone off with a head injury, and then we see Liam walking into the toilet, getting ready to go to a cubicle. Charlie, and then what do we hear?
Like it's literally like the Mickey Mouse pantomime music. Like,
Charlie.
it's really, really shocking.
Yeah.
And it takes like what is quite like a sort of like the gravitas of the scene.
Yeah.
Like, you've got Charlie like in the fetal position next to this toilet. We said before he was just like trying to go for a shit. And
It's like he's shitting and he's just like, oh.
I like to think he's like shit himself as he's like claps.
Yeah. Well, he probably has either shat or pissed himself, hasn't he, really? I mean, he's gone to the cubicle. He's been quite lucky to have passed out right before.
Yeah.
So he probably has shat or pissed himself.
Charlie.
The coach like tells like Katja, she's like, look at my view.
Yeah,
Just got engaged.
and he's not very. I don't think he's very tactful when he tells Katja.
He just walks over and he's like, Charlie's in an ambulance. He had a head injury. We found him on the floor.
Yeah, and then she just goes.
Yeah.
And drops her glass, which is like she doesn't even say he's had a head injury. He just goes over and goes, Charlie's had an injury. He's downstairs in an ambulance, and then immediately she just fully like drops her glass in a way that's like you drop your glass if you see someone get shot in the head in front of you. You know, to drop your glass, it has to be either like. It has to be so shocking. What you see has to be almost life-alteringly.
Yeah.
Not like this bloke you met 2 weeks ago is in an ambulance. He's not said he's dead.
No.
He just said, Charlie's in an ambulance. He probably should have said it a bit more nicely. But basically, she immediately just like is in pure shock and drops her glass just to heighten the drama. So we've had... and then we've had... in like, a 20-second period.
And then we have what is our absolute favourite moment of this film. It's a Charlie, he's in the ambulance and he's completely lucid and totally awake. He's just got like a little little air mask on. And he's like, oh, yeah, Doug, I gave you a scare, didn't I?
Yeah, he's like, gave you a scare, didn't I?
And she's like, you're still scaring me.
You're still scaring me, Charlie. And she's kind of a bit bitchy with him. and then the guy's like, Mr. Briffwith, please put your mask back on. Everyone in this film is European apart from like the main characters. And then he puts his mask back on and immediately he looks like he's having like orgasmic delight. Like his eyes go like, oh.
He looks like he's just popped an Eckie or something.
He's popped an Eckie. He's done more than that. He's had a nos balloon and poppers and he's like, he's coming. And then we all wish we could come that hard just once in our life. You know? Just,
And then he starts kind of like sort of like rocking like in a normal way, like sort of like nah, like rocking like like he's having a seizure, and then everyone's like Charlie.
Beep,
And then do you want to do an impression?
It's quite. I mean, I feel this is probably the most commitment anyone showed to the film because it's quite sort of painful to do. Like to begin with, he's having a more realistic seizure where it's kind of like it's more like kind of. Up and
should
down,
we do
the?
Okay, so you're trying. So we'll do from when his eyes start rolling in. Okay.
So he's like, he puts the mask on. And he's like, oh,
Charlie,
and then he's
Charlie.
And so first he's up and down, which is like you might have a seizure like this. You're shaking up and down. And then he's getting like, a bit more up and down. His whole body's shaking and the music's increasing. And then it cuts to Katja and she's like, Charlie!
Charlie?
What's going on?
Charlie?
Stand back, please.
And he's like, and then it cuts away a couple of times, like back to her, back to him. And then it felt like the director was like, right, now for this one, go fucking mental, Leo. Just go mental, all right? It's not mental enough. And Leo's like, are you sure? This feels kind of realistic. And he's like, no, just go mental. You've got to be mental. And he's like, all right, and then he's like,
the briefest of seconds.
He's like raving. He's like,
honestly, like how he's like in like a Berlin like dance club or something, like literally. And then it very suddenly cuts.
Again, it's another, like the car crash, like
whiplash,
the
whiplash
BDSM,
from the tonal changes.
where you're just like, we're both like, me and Tara, honestly, we're just like, what? And then we look back, and then you just see a gravestone.
Yeah.
You're in a cemetery.
And we were both like, Charlie's dead.
Like, what? And these moments, to be fair, I mean, hopefully you've seen the film before seeing this video, because when you see them, the shock is what makes them so funny. Like, we immediately see the coffin and just the gravestone and just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not his gravestone, is it? Because he hasn't been buried yet.
No, it is his gravestone.
Oh, they've prepared it before. Yeah, I beg your pardon for the burp. It's all right on but when you're this close to the microphone,
even from here, it's like weirdly like visceral and bassy. And so then it like cuts to like it's Katja, and she's there, and she's like, for some reason, does like a recap of his death.
You all know about the crash a couple of months ago. That's how he got the aneurysm that so tragically took him away from all of us.
It's really odd that she's like, that's not what you do at a funeral. You're not like recapping the cause of death at a funeral.
Also, like, I think the shaking killed him. I have a headache, honestly. I've done an impression of it for 5 seconds. I have a bad headache right now. It's not good to do that. Like, I think that's how he died. And
then she's like, oh, I've only known him since Easter. And then it's like, where are his parents? Like, where are his like actual loved ones? And then
Liam has to get up and be like, let's get Charlie's 2-week girlfriend who he had a mad fling with out of the way, and he tries to finish off the speech, and they're all skirting around the weird sort of Charlie's mad whirlwind romance thing, and then they're
also skirting around the fact that for absolutely no reason whatsoever, the like lads on tour taxi and mechanics gang are at the funeral. And what I said this to Ciaran earlier when we rewatched it, I said I think they basically had blown the whole budget on ? We don't know what. And they were like, well, we can't have like 3 people at Charlie's funeral, so how do we pad out the funeral with people that are already on the payroll for the film?
And there's a really just round the corner on set.
There's a really weird bit where there's the is it the coach? The Newcastle coach is there.
The Newcastle coach
and he's there with like a really hot, like tarted up slapper, and like they always turn to her, and like she has a lot of like on screen time, and
it's like,
she doesn't talk. She's got like this. They focus on her so much. You think she must be like a main character. The obvious
thing is just get a completely inconspicuous 70-year-old woman who matches the male character.
And instead they've got like this like fit bird.
They're like, no, he just got divorced and has left his wife for a much younger woman. And he's loving life, and he's brought her to the funeral of all places. He's like, hey,
apparently it's a free-for-all at this funeral.
The fans are turning up. But no one from Real Madrid or Spain has come to see Charlie. To
Bex
see him off.
Bex isn't there.
None of the England guys are there. No, they don't give a fuck.
But the taxi rank and the mechanic guys are there.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because for some reason they go up to Katja, like Charlie's like not even like his fiance, not even his wife.
All the lads would just like to say, thanks for letting us come and pay our last respects.
Why are you there?
And she's just sort of like, And it's like, why would you even want to? Like, even if I loved a football player, like I do, I like, Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard.
You wouldn't go to his funeral?
If for some reason his girlfriend of 2 weeks was like, I want to come to his funeral.
Probably some good food there.
I would be like, Tara, Bukayo Saka's girlfriend, who he's been with for 2 weeks, who he didn't even marry yet, has asked me to his funeral, but I feel like it probably wasn't her place to ask, and I don't think his family will be happy with me being there, so I'm not going to go.
It's almost as if like they had their own like mini fake funeral, and then like his like like Bex and like his family and like his actual loved ones, they went and had an actual funeral.
And these
without
lot
them.
were having a shitty funeral. That's why Katja was like the more the merrier, because
they've got like a little
dodgy.
like doll stuff with sawdust in the coffin and stuff, like googly eyes on it.
I feel like what happened was they started filming the funeral scene and they were like, what the fuck is it? This funeral's tiny. There's no one there. Get the cabbies in.
We'll just blow the last of this money on this fit bird in the red lippy.
Any of those bimbos, get them in here. Yeah. Then we have the wake, and here's where we are introduced to our favourite character in the film, who
my god,
we've dubbed. So Liam is outside playing with his daughter, who he's now getting in touch with. There's been this whole plot about them, and for some reason his daughter was hidden from him, and he's not angry that he has a daughter who's free, who he was never told about. And this woman has just randomly decided, yeah, you can be his dad. It's all as flippant as Charlie getting married, and it's all whatever. And he's outside playing with his daughter, and for no reason, the other woman who's seated there outside, we've begun to refer to as Obi-Wan Thatcher. Because she looks like a Jedi. She's dressed like a Jedi.
Fully in like Jedi garb.
Jedi colours. She's got the big brown robes and then like a white cream.
It's like they've gotten like a Jedi, like a Jedi Halloween party literally. Like costume. Yeah. I was saying to Ciaran, like, why didn't they just choose any other colour shawl? Like, because it's the brown robes.
Also, you're not supposed to wear brown at a funeral, so just
no.
Couldn't there be like, someone let her borrow? There's loads of people here with
it's
black
just
clothes.
Some random fucking lady they probably got out of Age UK. They just got her into the cast.
But even in the other room, they had actors with big enough shawls to just drape over her Jedi costume that she's wearing. So there's that. Then Katya gives Liam a gift and says, when the time is right to open it, you'll know. And what is this gift?
Well, we like to joke that it's like a bag of Coke.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we were speculating. We were like, is it a huge bag of Coke in this envelope? Maybe just a Polaroid of like a chimpanzee that she's taken. She's like, Liam, you'll know when to open it. It's just meaningless nonsense. A condom was one of the other possibilities we touted. Based on the quality of this film, it could have been any of those.
Well, because he goes back, Adams goes back to his hotel room with the big giant butt plug lamp. Yeah. So if she gave him a big giant condom, she's going to wrap that around the lamp.
Why is he still in that hotel?
Because they're still playing, aren't they? Yeah, they're still playing.
But he's just been at the funeral. Yeah, so he has to go back. So he has the funeral and then he goes back to the England. They don't even give him like compassionate leave from the World Cup. He's decided to go back, right?
And so then he goes and plays in the quarterfinal for the World Cup.
And we'll say later what's in the envelope.
And he goes and plays in the quarterfinal.
The real quarterfinal that, by the way, we forgot to mention, happened 3 years before the release of the film. The 2006 FIFA World Cup happened obviously in 2006. The film came out in 2009, and they're like, "Do you remember the 2006 FIFA World Cup?" And we're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Do you remember when Charlie Braithwaite died on the pitch?" No, I don't remember that.
But
and
they had to.
We'll show you.
What I realized, they had to base it on a World Cup that had already happened because they needed to flesh out this film with pre-existing World Cup footage.
All they had to do though was make a new film where Santi's career has gone down the toilet and he's disgraced himself.
We were saying he could be a manager. Like a coach.
Of a lower level. Like, you know, in Kenny Powers and Eastbound and Down goes to Mexico and he plays for like a lesser team. All they had to do was that. He's managing like a shitty club. It really wasn't hard.
Like, you honestly...
And it could have been a movie with heart. And they show like he's not rich.
Give us a couple of fizzy pops and 10 minutes and we were giving you a better goal 3.
Give us a 1% of that budget. And
there might not be as many fine question mark honeys in this film, but it would certainly have had a lot more heart.
We'll take a couple of them.
Less tits, more heart.
We'll take a couple.
Sure.
Why not? We forgot to mention, by the I would say the worst of all the bimbos in the film is there's a barmaid in it who looks like she's out of the nastiest, like cheapest British
sloppiest porn you would have seen.
Like you know, when the early days of internet porn, when you take whatever you can get,
and it's in like,
and you're like 15 years old, and you're like poor big tits. I guess they look quite hard and round, but all right.
It's in like not even like 420p. It's in like 1p.
Yeah, it's like 60p.
Basically pixels.
And the P is like lower than the frame rate, and she's there, and they're just like rock solid knockers, like really hard with this
upside
big
down
wide
cleavage
because they won't push together because they're so hard. And then one of the Geordie guys, the young one, is staring at them. He like looks at her tits and he's like, oh, and then she immediately slaps him hard across the face, and he's like, oh, don't stare at my tits, and it's like. You slap everyone that stares at your fake tits.
You got your nasty, for some reason, tarted up nurse uniform.
Yeah, at
like,
a bar.
unbuttoned down to your navel.
So they go to the quarterfinals and we see a lot more 2006 FIFA World Cup footage. Again, we're like, oh yeah, I remember these goals and all of this stuff. We're seeing all the players. We don't, of course, ever see them. We always see Liam is at the side with this weird, like, Turkish assistant manager played by Tamer Hassan, who's in all of the British football hooligan criminal movies, just like Leo Gregory. They seem to get all the cast of like these kinds of movies. I'm surprised they didn't have what's his name from Green Street 1 and 2. I'm really surprised that they didn't get him. And they Danny Dyer would have probably loved to have been in Goal 3, been like, fuck me, it's the best film I've ever been in. I'm so proud of Goal 3. It's a masterpiece, mate. You've got to see this film. It's a masterpiece. The critics didn't get it at all. They didn't have a fucking clue, mate. There's birds, there's footy. I played this England left back. No, I was a striker. Fuck that. I don't want to be in defence. And he's like, Danny Dyer just thinks it's a masterpiece. But no, they got all these people, and they've got this like Turkish assistant manager. Was like, I don't recall England ever having a kind of Turkish origin assistant coach. And he's there, and him and Liam are always sort of sequestered off to the side behind Sven-Goran Eriksson, who you only ever see this fake. Yeah. And he's easy to fake. You just get an old guy with glasses and you're like, yeah, that's Sven. He's not as like distinctive. And so they're playing the quarterfinals, and then England basically play badly. They draw, they get to a penalty shootout, which actually happened.
And then bloody Adams kicks the ball off the bar.
Adams, he hits the keeper saves it and it deflects off the bar, and Adams is like on the green screen like, no. And he's devastated, and he hasn't managed to do it for his dead friend who died like 2 days ago, who none of the other players seem interested in.
And none of the other players come and like console him or anything, or interact or even touch him.
No one touches him or stand. He's never
remotely near any other footballer.
It shows how good of a footballer he is that he's always able to find space. Yeah. He's always able to like move around the pitch where no one can get near him. And he misses, and then he takes off his shirt. And a critic pointed this out in a funny review online of this film. I can't remember the website. And it says R.I.P. Charlie in like graffiti writing.
And it's like you're paying tribute to your failed goal and losing the World Cup.
Yeah, and none of the other players join in. They all are just like, oh, we lost the World Cup. And Liam's the only one who's like, Charlie, here's a shirt I drew earlier this morning. And he's got this shirt. And then, I mean, it's like a meaningless ending. The ending of the film is completely meaningless. It's like, right, so they lost the World Cup. Charlie died.
He gets married to June.
He gets married to the woman who hid his own daughter from him for 3 years. The agent, for some reason, is with the woman who gave the blowjob in 9 songs. Santi is still single and hasn't met his child. The other Goal films, you can see there's a message. There's no message. There's no point. It's like, what if someone died? Like that's the.
And what if these ladies all have big, nice, rock hard knockers?
What if there was fit birds and then a bloke died of a head injury? Yeah. Like I could say the message of this film is like, be careful. Like don't get into a car accident. And then really, jump
the message
for a header.
Is just like quite damning towards the German, quite damning towards the Romanian hospital.
Yeah, and the England medical staff.
Yeah,
and just a lot of things really. And then the ring, the gift in the envelope. Sorry, we're all over the place today.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of preparation went into doing this, and a lot of mad stuff with technological failures and stuff, and we've had a lot of caffeine, and we're all a bit all over the place, and we're so excited to talk about Goal 3. But
we've had too many fizzy pops.
We have, like the directors of this film had. And they might have had something a little bit stronger than fizzy pop, to be honest.
Very fizzy pop.
Why? Why is it so fizzy?
It's just very fizzy.
Right, yeah.
You have it, you're like, oh, it's really in my nose.
You have it and you're like...
so fizzy.
I didn't even want to do it again properly. It's painful to do.
Yeah, when I do it, I feel like I'm a little warm-up brain, like rocking around in my skull.
It's like sparring.
Yeah.
So yeah, a completely meaningless ending. All these extremely like fast relationships that just happen.
Yeah.
There's a good song at the end. I would say it's the only good song in the film. It's in an earlier scene and it plays at the end. It's quite a good song. It's quite a good ending.
Yeah, it's like the highlight of the film, really.
Probably the highlight of the film, along with like the Beckham free kick.
I saw a really odd review for this. It was 5 stars.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I think it must have been a lie. It was someone who wrote quite a lengthy review about like how much they loved this film because they went to go see the screening with it, and they had the whole England squad. at the screening, and like Beckham was sitting
No,
behind
he wasn't.
them.
He hasn't seen this film.
And they were like, and it was so amazing to be sat behind Beckham, and he was so close to me, and we all loved it so much.
Beckham's
it was
never seen this film.
really, really odd.
Beckham doesn't even know he's in it.
I'm gonna put, if I can find it, I'll put a screenshot of the review. It's really odd.
Yeah, I've
5
got
stars.
a couple of reviews here. So
Okay, imagine Beckham going down to sit down. First of all, going to the premiere of Golf 3.
Beckham would be annoyed. He'd be like, why did you put me in this horrible movie? I don't want to be in this. So we're going to show you the contrast of the reviews here. There's some interesting reviews, I'd say suspicious reviews. So we have, first of all, here's I feel an honest review. Mm-hmm. So bad, I had to write about it.
Oh, yeah.
After 12 years of viewing IMDb on a very regular basis, this movie is the one that has compelled me to make my first review. Mm-hmm. I've seen many wonderful films during this time, but not one has meant as much as this one to me. This is an atrocious film, full of stereotypical characters, boring plot, little integration between the actors, and real football footage, which was a strength in earlier versions. Furthermore, it doesn't appear to fit in at all with the 2 earlier parts of this trilogy, as the main character, Santiago, is relegated to a supporting role, and none of the people around him from the earlier parts have survived.
Yeah.
You have a completely pointless set of Geordie fans, which I guess were introduced to try and inject some humour to the tired plot. The acting is pitiful, the script is criminal, and it was almost so bad I could have watched it all over again just to laugh at the total ineptitude.
Yep.
I awarded this film 1, a first for me, and I consider I was being far too generous. So that's from RB1401 on IMDb, and I agree with everything he said. And after 12 years of viewing IMDb, that's the first one he felt the need to review. So then we have another review. And you know, we all saw the same film, right?
Yeah.
Best football film I've ever seen. This is easily the best football film that I've ever seen. It's pretty much non-stop, never gets boring, and is really well written and filmed. The acting's really great too, much better than I expected, especially Liam and Charlie's characters. They made it feel like proper football matches, like you're right there on the pitch with Rooney, Gerrard and Beckham. Made me and my mate want to get out and have a kickabout straight away. Straight is spelled like the Straits of Gibraltar, you know, without a G or a H.
Nice.
It's which it makes me wonder if maybe the writers of this film wrote it. It's definitely a good one to watch with a few mates on a night in with a couple of pizzas too. Proper good action and really involving. There's some well-fit girls in it as well. Honestly, what more could you want? D. James 31.
What more could you want?
What more? I mean, it did everything. So yeah, the box office for this film was $7,641, which to me is surprising because I'm surprised it was even at the box office. I mean,
it was straight to DVD, but I think they had like the premiere, like
that they were like, right, we sold some popcorn. And,
yeah, they were like, yeah, we got.
Beckham paid us to just let him leave.
Beckham paid us to not be at the screening. Yeah. Although apparently that one guy sat behind the whole England squad.
Yeah, Beckham paid for that guy to leave him alone.
Yeah.
He paid the ushers to restrain that guy. It wasn't even Beckham. It was just some guy who looked like Beckham. So what we're going to do on this show is we're going to rate the film, every film that we watch, because all the films we're going to review are bad films.
Yeah.
We're going to rate them for what the film's really deserved.
Yep.
Like what actual rating is it objectively? And then also secondarily, what our enjoyment of it in terms of so bad it's good. You know, how enjoyable is it as a bad movie?
Yeah.
You know, that's the purpose of doing the show. Yeah. We enjoy watching bad movies. So we're going to give those 2 ratings. Do you want to go first or shall I?
I'll go first. If I'm rating it just as a standalone, like as a movie,
what
it deserves as a piece of art, I think like a 2.
Yep.
And I rate it in terms of the enjoyment I derived from the film. I think it's very important that you see goal 1 and goal 2 to really be able to sort of access the full enjoyment of this film.
Try and set aside a few days and just do it all.
And it's honestly, it's worth it. If you're looking for just like some just derivative, like just sort of brain rot, I do really recommend.
And it's kind of, you've got someone with you to watch and be like, apparently it's a real spectacle. Let's have a few beers.
Yeah.
Check out this trilogy. You could do it in a day if you want to really lose your mind.
Yeah. Oh, we should do that. We should do a goal, like a goal marathon.
I'm well up for redoing the first 2 or something, but I'm not sure I can ever watch Goal 3 again.
No, after watching it 4 times, I feel like it's like when you say Bloody Mary in the mirror, like 3 times. Like I feel like
maybe we can force our kids to watch it one day as like a life lesson. Watch Goal 1 and 2, and then here's Goal 3. Look what happens if you take your foot off the gas.
Make sure you get proper adequate medical care. Don't go to a hospital in Romania.
Well. Oh right, so we're showing them and they grow
as
up
a PSA,
thinking it's like a classic. Yeah.
Okay. for my enjoyment of it, having seen the first two films, I'm going to give that a solid 8 or 9 out of 10.
8 or a 9. Wow. I mean, for me, the benchmark of enjoyment for a so bad it's good film is The Room, and I put that at a 10. And I've enjoyed The Room so much and so many times. Like, if you consider how many times we've watched it, and we never stop enjoying it. We've seen The Room more than 10 times. And
we quote it to each other all the time.
So that's a 10. So it's very hard for anything to get even close to that, to be fair. But, so I'm going to say, as a genuine film, the score it deserves, I'm going to say again, a 2 out of 10.
Yep.
It doesn't get a 1 or a 0. We can give zeros, can't we?
No, I think it starts from a 1.
Does it start
I think
from a 1?
A 0 would be something exceptionally, like so bad we haven't even seen it yet.
0 would be like illegal, like content. It was like such filth that like I'm angry that it's even been on my computer. So 2 out of 10 because it gets some things right. I would say like Leo Gregory's a good actor.
Song at the end.
JJ Field is a good actor. The woman who plays Katya is like quite good, and she shouldn't be in that film.
No,
she really shouldn't be in it. A bit like Anna Friel, they somehow rope these women in. Well, she wasn't in it. Anna Friel, she was in Goal 1 and 2, which were perfectly fine. One thing I was trying to think earlier, what's good about it? I don't know if this is even a good thing. This might even be a bad thing. There's no like villain in the film.
No.
Everyone is nice.
The villain is the brain aneurysm.
The villain is immortality.
Yeah.
Which makes it sound deeper than it is.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
That makes the film sound like the villain is death, but no, it's not No Country for Old Men. It's very bad. Yeah, 2 out of 10 for what it deserves. For my enjoyment of it, based on the first viewing, I would say we enjoyed it a lot. I mean, we were crying, laughing.
I think an 8 out of 10 is very fair.
It's hard to do a proper scale, isn't it? But no, I'm going to say
We were crying, laughing the first time we were watching.
Yeah, the rewatches were tough though.
Yeah, we've sort of sullied it with the amount of rewatches we've done. I think an 8 out of 10 is for the first watching.
I think I'm out of respect for The Room, I want to go for a 7, but I'm just going to say 8 because we're both agreed on the objective score of it, and now we're both agreed on this. So we're giving it a 2 and an 8. And so a terrible film, definitely worth a watch.
Yep.
And that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. We're going to do a lot more reviews. Yeah,
we've already seen a lot of really awful films, but there's an infinite amount.
An infinite, exact, hence the name of the show. Today we were beset with a lot of like technical issues, and we had like a huge row before we started this, and we've had a lot of caffeine to compensate for like being tired.
And we have barely eaten. All I had was some steak tartare at like 11 a.m. this morning. It's now bloody 9 p.m.
We've put a lot of pressure on ourselves for this first episode because we're really excited. There's so many films we want to talk about on this channel. And it's gonna get smoother and smoother.
We watched some really like quite niche ones, some like, some uncovered gems.
We've really dug deep. So stay tuned, subscribe, click the fucking bell button, definitely at least subscribe, and wait for more because this is just going to get better with every video. And if you like bad movies, there's going to be some really good ones on here. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care.